right, we're looking at canceling a deal, which is kind of a special case, but it does happen. Remember, when we cancel a deal, it's very simple. You press the button and you need to put in the group number that you're making a deal with, the other group, not your group, the other group, the counterpart, and the deal ID. You have to get the ID correct. And when you do that, usually it's no problem because both sides will cancel, right? So if both sides cancel, everything is good. And we're going to just go ahead and both are good. Check, that's canceled. Check, that's canceled. Everything's very smooth. But now we're going to look at the special case where it's not both sides cancel. So let's look at another example here. And we come down to our cancel deal area. And remember, down here is canceled by both. That's no problem. But up here is canceled with penalty. So what does canceled with penalty means? It means you got to pay a price. There's going to be a cost. So if there's going to be a cost, what is that cost? Well, if you scroll down here, you can see the cost is explained. So let me go over the cost with you. It's pretty easy to understand, but you need to take it step by step. When we look at the possible cost, the first case is the easy case, and that is both groups cancel. If both groups cancel, there's going to be no cost. You pay no cost, the other group pays no cost, the deal is just gone, canceled, everything is good. The second case is case B. You cancel, but the other party, the counterparty, does not cancel. Not cancel. So that means that you cancel, but the other side does not agree to cancel. So if we look at that kind of situation, it's something like this. We have a group, like maybe your group is group 22. And here's another group, maybe this is group 30. And you go ahead and you send a deal, and they send a deal, so the deal is agreed to. So this deal is good. So this deal that has a number, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe that's its number, the deal ID. Of course, that's not a real one. That's a fake one, so don't use that. Okay, so they agree. Well, what happens next is maybe someone is not very happy with this. So the other side, they say, hey, it's okay, I accept it. But this side over here, they say, no, I don't want it anymore. So my group says no. Okay, so what can we do? Well, we can send the cancel, and that will be this kind of case where you cancel, but the other side does not cancel. Okay, in the real business world, this often does happen. One side drops out of a deal, and what do we end up with? Well, we end up with the deal is kind of over anyway because one side refuses to continue the deal. So we end up with a situation where one side got what they want and one side is not getting what they want. So in that kind of case, what we have is a group here and a group here. And at the beginning, everybody's happy. But then at the end, this side, they cancel the deal. And they're happy because they didn't like the deal. And then the other side, they're not happy because they did like the deal. And they do not want to cancel. They do not want to cancel. They like the deal. Why did this happen? Well, there's many reasons why it could happen. It could happen that one side made a deal and they were not careful. Maybe they made the price too low. Maybe they made the quality too high. Who knows? They did something wrong. Maybe they pressed the button wrong and they made the price just ridiculous, too low by accident. That happens. There's many things that they did wrong, but they're not happy with it, so they want to cancel. Okay. Well, in the real world, they can go ahead and just not pay or not ship the product or not do something. But the other side who's not happy, what can they do? Well, you can't force the other team to make the deal. You can't force the company to send you the product, but you can go to court and you could sue somebody over this. You could use the law to make them pay. Well, we all know what happens when you use the law. It takes a very long time, and it costs a lot of money to use the law. So, in this game, the way we do this is we simulate that you can cancel a deal and the other side does not agree. And they could sue you, but that would take a long time. So we're going to make it a little bit more simple and just have a fee associated. Now let's pay attention to what the fee is. So if you cancel and the other side does not cancel, so the cost here would be 0.5 flex points. That means half a flex point for every 100 units. So if you have 200 units in the deal and it gets canceled, then you're going to end up paying 1 flex point. 1 flex point. So the fee is not huge, but it's also not small, especially when you start making big deals. So if we had, let's say, 600, so 600 would be 3 flex points. And we round down. So if this was, for example, 700, then it's still going to be 3. But when it gets to be 800, it's going to jump up to 4. So it's going to cost somebody who canceled and the other side did not cancel. It's going to cost something. But it's not huge. It's also not small. Because remember, your flex points make your score go up or make your score go down. When you have more, you go up. When you have less, you go down, because it gives you flexibility in your negotiation. So very important. So what we have here is a penalty. This is case B. Case A, reminder, no problem. Both sides agree. Case B, you cancel, the other side does not cancel. What about case C? All right, in case C, we have this special case where you do not cancel, but the counterparty cancels. Okay, so this is reversing the situation. What happens in this situation? Well, in this situation, you want to continue the deal. The other side changes their mind for whatever reason. What's the result? The result is that you pay nothing and you gain nothing. The deal is just lost, a lost deal. A lost deal. And this seems very unfair, doesn't it? This seems like that's not the way it should be, because I had a group, a company, and another company, and we had a happy deal. And then what happened? This company said, nah, never mind, goodbye. And then this company, your company, is now stuck. What do? Remember, I said you need to go to court. You need to use the law. You need to get lawyers, right? Nobody wants this. A lot of trouble, but that's what you have to do. Okay, so what happens then? You make money? Well, no. You probably get something, but you spend something, so it ends up that it's approximately equal to 0 when you lose a deal like that. That's usually what happens in the real world. It's really impossible that you're going to make money because another company did something wrong or did something bad. It's, I guess maybe in the news we can find some example, but I don't see any. So what's the key idea here? The key idea here is this. If you're going to make a deal with a group and you're thinking, can I trust them? Do I have trust? And it's a question mark. Do I trust them? Because when you make a deal, they could cancel on you. They could do something that you don't expect. Then what are you going to do? Well, you could go ahead and you could think about this and talk to other groups, other companies. You can look at the marketplace, look at the information inside of our game, inside of our RPG. And you can go there and try to check and see, hey, you know what? Does this group say that that group is good? What do they say about them? What do they say about them? Just like in the real world, you have to learn if you're going to trust a group or not, if you're going to trust a company or not. And if they say, no, they did not keep their deal, they did not keep their deal, they did not keep their deal, this group number 22, that's a bad group, or this group number 31 is a bad group. So in that case, maybe you would avoid making a deal with a group that makes bad deals. So they're all happy, but maybe you should make sure that they're not so happy because they have a bad reputation, right? What's their history? Because we play many rounds in the RPG, many times, you can use this to see if you trust a group to make a deal with you or not. Okay, what's another thing to pay attention to? Well, here's a really good one. We call it too, T-O-O, too good to be true. Too good to be true. Too good to be true. What does that mean? Too good to be true means don't do it, right? Don't take a deal that is too good to be true. Too good to be true. Why would a deal be too good to be true? Probably the other side is making a mistake. Probably they don't understand something. They type something wrong. Maybe they're not paying attention. They're not really looking at the app and how it works. Okay, so that is case B. So we have case A, both parties. That's easy. That's the best. We have case B, you cancel, but the other side does not cancel. There will be a fee. What about case C? You did everything correctly, so you're okay. But the other side, they canceled. You get nothing and you lose the deal. So this could hurt you, right? Case C can hurt you because you have a deal that falls through. So what can you do? Before the end of the game, every week before the end, maybe you need to check, make sure that everything is the way you think it should be. You need to double check before the end of the week, before the end of the game. Make sure that the group you made deals with, or the many groups you made deals with, none of them canceled on you. Because if they canceled, your score will go down. Why? Because you made a deal and now there's no deal. So you're losing a good deal. Why did they cancel? They probably canceled because something was wrong and they were going to lose money and you were going to make money. So that's another thing I guess I should say, right? Pay attention, right? Too good to be true. Too good to be true. Watch out, right? And how can I say this? Maybe if you get a too good to be true deal, if you get it and if you take it, maybe you should be sure and double check before the end of the game. Make sure the other side did not cancel on you, because if they cancel, you're going to lose that really good deal that you thought was so good, that was making your score go up, and now they cancel. They pay a fee, but you lose nothing, but your score goes down. All right, so that seems a little bit complicated, right? It's not too bad, though. So let's come back and look at this readout. So here we have canceled by both. That's very simple. And here we have invalid deals. These are deals that don't work. And here we have invalid cancels. These are cancels that are wrong. Something is wrong with them. We're going to look at these a little bit later. And lastly, we have this one here, canceled with penalty. And here we can clearly see what the situation is. So here's the deal number. And then here are the groups. And here's the group that canceled. So 69 canceled. it was 450 units, and so we're going to have a penalty of 2 flex points. Here we have group 45, and we have 100 units, and it's going to be 1 flex point.